BrigantiaBlackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome back to Pagan Tales, the gods of the Yuletide edition to finish off the year. And today we are, of course, talking about Frigga and Baldr because we cannot do this without mentioning them. The goddess Frigga and her beloved son Baldr, they have an overt connection to the Yule season. It's Frigga laboring to birth Baldr that is the basis for Mother's Night. The exact date of this event that is celebrated, that has varied between regions and time periods, as you might expect. And then once the Christian era began, Mother's Night was borrowed and transformed into being the night before Jesus Jesus's assigned birthday of December 25th, which of course we know is not the thing, but it makes them feel better to think it. And thus the Christians celebrated Mary on what is now commonly called Christmas Eve. So interesting how that little tradition still endured even after there was a switcheroo of religions. Anyway, moving on. And the modern day, many pagans, not all, but many, celebrate Mother's Night on December 20th because usually the solstice is the 21st, although that does vary depending upon a variety of factors. But that's usually when we kick things off and get going. So, at the beginnings, so often when the tale of Frigga's relationship with Baldur is told, all attention is being focused upon the lead up to the end of Baldur's life and all of Frigga's heroic attempts to spare him from his fate. However, at this time of year, we have the opportunity to focus upon something that is truly joyful, that moment of Baldur's birth and how he was beloved for all of his good qualities. And his birth has just as great of meaning for pagans, particularly those in the Nordic traditions, as his inevitable death does. Light emanated from Baldur's very being, and as he grew, he became known for his courage and, most importantly, for his wisdom. Frigga adored him for obvious reasons, besides the fact that he was her child, and doubtless she poured all of her energy into his upbringing, and that's why she protected him so ferociously. And that really gets us to thinking about that mother child bond, because one of the things that Mother's Night affords us the opportunity to do is to reflect upon that profound bond that exists between mothers and their children, at least in reasonably mentally healthy people here. We're not talking about the outliers, we're not talking about the people who have psychological difficulties. We're talking about what's natural and normal. And of course, the reason for that bond is because there's really no comparable human experience to actually growing life within one's own womb. Mothers know and nurture and bond with their babies long before the birth takes place. And this isn't something that men are able to experience as intimately. They are onlookers to this process. And no doubt they become very attached to the baby before the birth, but the child doesn't grow and come into being within them. So it just isn't the same kind of experience. And even after birth, without, baby formula, the mother continues to use her body to sustain the child through nursing. So it's this physical bond, it's an emotional bond, it's a spiritual bond. It is something that is taking place on all levels of existence. And that's why, there's just no other kind of love like it because there's no other experience that creates that kind of love. Brings us to the legacy of motherhood. Mother's Night is a time to honor all of the mothers in your lineage, as well as those whose spirits act as protectors of the family in Norse circles, as called the Disir. Women who have had children are part of that chain of ancestors, even while they're still living, because once they become a mother, they are a link in that change of the continued existence of the family. And that is a kind of immortality. Women who seek to become mothers, they may use Mother's Night as an opportunity to seek guidance for when their time comes and to go ahead and start building up that relationship with the spirits of their foremothers and be able to draw upon their wisdom so that when they are raising their own children, they might not feel quite so adrift as they might otherwise. And for women who haven't become mothers for whatever reason, because sometimes biology just tells them no, sometimes by the time they were in a period of their life where they was actually in a stable situation, a stable relationship, and having children was possible, they might have aged out, or there might have been other factors. There's a lot of reason why women don't become mothers besides just saying, "I don't feel like it, so I'm not going to." Not everyone's absence of motherhood is it doesn't always go with that particular attitude. But still, and I'm part of that group, we can still use this night as a chance to explore that which we are able to nurture, who we are able to nurture in lives, and to use our instincts with intention and purpose for that very nurturing, because we still have that gift of nurturing, even if it's not being expressed through birthing and raising our own children. So there's something here for all of us. This is part of who we are as women. And and for men on their side of it, they do have a reverence and awe for motherhood. This is an opportunity for them to show that respect. But again, it's something they're experiencing more as onlookers of the process. The role they play in the bringing about life is a bit different than ours. And so we're experiencing all of this in a way that's a little bit more intimate as women. So, on that note, this Yule, honor Frigga as a divine mother, honor Baldr this Yule as a beloved child. Spend a little bit of time thinking about what the moment of his birth really meant, about the joy of that occasion, the joy of bringing new life into the world, just generally, and thinking about the happy moments that Frigga had, when he was brought forth into this world, and spend maybe a little bit more time on that aspect of the story rather than the sadder bits. I think that's something we could usefully do this Yule. Now, next week, we will be talking a little bit about the god Saturn and hopefully getting into some Saturnalia customs. Because even though oftentimes, for those of us of more Northern European descent, we don't always talk about, Saturnalia and in the same way, just because we're not having that same immediate connection to it. But because of the spread of the Roman Empire all over Europe and the ongoing legacy of that, and the blending and mixing around of traditions that inevitably happens when people groups encounter each other, Saturnalia is still a thread that has been woven into modern day celebrations, pagan and Christian alike. Although I have seen some very interesting videos lately from the Christian sphere with the most interesting rationalizations you ever heard in your life, for them to say about, oh no, no, this is a pure holiday, and all those pagans are just mean and making up nonsense about it. It is interesting to see that kind of insecurity play out. I mean, it's sad. I don't envy their position. Um, and when it comes to this sort of thing, people could save themselves a lot of bother if they focused more so upon their intentions with their celebrations. For Christians, their intention is to celebrate the birth of Christ. For just secular people or people who aren't particularly religious, celebrating Christmas or joining in Yule celebrations, it's because it's part of a cultural tradition of which they belong. And I think that's a perfectly fine and more than enough reason to do it. And then for those of us, we are honoring that winter solstice. We're honoring the Yuletide celebrations. We have a bit of Saturnalia mixed in, particularly for those who work with the Roman pantheon explicitly. That's definitely a factor for them. But for all of us, it's our intention. It's our intention of what celebrates, and I think that's enough. But people who will feel insecure in their faith, they always have to make sure that they have truth and fact on their side, even if they don't. We're going to be talking in the new year a little bit about how we are the sum of the stories we believe in, and maybe we can explore some different ways to approach these conversations between different religions a little bit more productively instead of the usual debates that circle the drain. But anyway, I must love you and leave you now. Please come again next week for the next edition, and I will see you guys in the next one.